Welcome to Halachot Niddah. This will be part 28 of the class. Today's topic, Rav David Yosef Shlita is going to bring down in the Sever Taharat Habayit, where a woman's Tevilah night, the night when she has to go to the mikvah, falls out with the Veset, with the anticipated period. We know that when a woman goes to the mikvah, she becomes permissible to her husband. But at the same token, we also know that if a woman is anticipating her period to come, she's not allowed to have relations with her husband. Today's case is very different than any other class we've been discussing up to now. Today's halakha is going to deal with what happens if you have the Tevilah night and the Veset night. They both come out on the same night. Can you imagine for yourself, for example, let's say tonight, a woman needs to go to the mikvah, but at the same time, she looks at her calendar and she says, 1 second, I'm also anticipating to get my period tonight. Am I allowed to be with my husband or not? That is her question. What is the halacha going to say? So this is what we want to see. If a woman's Tevilah night falls out with anticipated period, is she allowed to have relations with her husband? So the halacha begins. If you have a woman where the night of the Tevilah, the night of the dipping, fell out at the ona smuch levesta, meaning at the period near the anticipated time when she's expecting to see the period, kegon, for example, she saw a stain in the days of her pure days, meaning when she was clean, and she became tameh. And now her time of dipping came at the period close to the anticipated time when she's expecting to get the period. So one more time, Rabotai, there's too many words over here. Let me simplify the halakha. Like we said in the beginning, if a woman's Tevilah night falls out at the same time with a woman's Veset when she's anticipating to get the period, they both fall out at the same night, can she have relations with her husband? Yes or no? That's what we want to see. So Rav David Yosef Shlita continues and he says, and we're going to make a difference between a woman who has an established cycle versus a woman who does not have an established cycle. If this woman has an established cycle, how does a woman establish a established cycle? Very simple. She has to see blood 3 times consecutively at the same day or night or date or day. Right? She has to establish it. For example, let's say the woman saw on the 5th of the month at night. Next time around, again, she sees at the 5th of the month at night. Next time again, on the 3rd month, she sees at the 5th of the night at night. Oh, over here we're going to tell right now, watch. First month, she saw on the 5th of the night. The 2nd month, she saw the 5th of the night. The 3rd month, she also saw the 5th at the night. Now, we have a big problem over here. What happens the 4th time around, at the 5th of the night, on the 4th month, she has to go to the mikvah. But at the same time that she's anticipating for a period to come, because this is the Veset Kavua. I just gave you one example. Or let's say if a woman establishes Veset Aflaga, a interval cycle, she sees every single time 15 days or 20 days. And it happens consecutively 3-4 times. Once she has an established cycle, and the Leil Tevilah and the dipping of the mikvah falls together with that period, is she allowed to go ahead and have relations with her husband? So comes Rav David Yosef and he says, Im yesh la vesel kavua, if this woman has an established cycle, asur la leshamesh im ba'ala, she is forbidden to have relations with the husband. Why? Ho'il vehuzman vesta, since it is the time where she's anticipating to get the period. Since it is the time of her Veset. So we see over in the first case, Rav David Yosef Shlita is telling us that if a woman has a Veset Kavua, and at the same time it falls out to be on the Leil Tevilah, at the night when she has to go to the mikvah, Rav David Yosef clearly says, Asur la l'shamesh im bala, she is forbidden to have relations with the husband. Now you have to remember why so. When a woman has an established cycle, she has a chazakah, we have a presumption that she's going to see. So there's a high chance she's going to get it. It's only a matter of when. So therefore we're going to tell you, even though we'll see now, she's allowed to go to the mikvah for other reasons, but to sleep with her husband, she's not going to be allowed to do. So therefore, if a woman comes and she says, Rabbi, my mikvah night is tonight, but at the same time, I'm a woman who has a Veset and established cycle. Now they both collided on the same night. Can I sleep with my husband after I go to the mikvah? The answer is no. It's forbidden. Asur rabotai, 100% asur. They're not allowed to have relations. Even though she's pure, doesn't matter. The fact that night is a Veset it's an established cycle, we're going to tell you you're not allowed to have relations with your husband. Nevertheless, continues Rav David Yosef Shlita, and he says, nevertheless, mutar, however, she's allowed, mutar lidbol, she's allowed to go ahead and dip, bebracha, with a blessing, be'ona smucha levesta, at the period close to her anticipated period, mishum shar kerevut, because of other forms of closeness. For example, kichibuk, like hugging, vinishuk, and kissing, and anything similar to this. Now, mind you, Rabotai, if you guys remember, he's going to say it right now, that whenever we have to refrain from being with our wives when they're anticipating the period to come, what do I have to refrain from? From having relations. But other forms of closeness is allowed. I could pass her something. I could make a cup of wine for her. I can kiss her. I can hug her. We can, be affectionate towards one another. The only thing that's not allowed is having relations. So that's what he tells you over here. We're going to allow her to go to the mikvah at the time when she's anticipating to get her period. Why? Because that's the mikvah night. It happened to also be, that's the Veset Kavua night. No problem, let her go, no problem. Why do I want her to go to the mikvah if she cannot sleep with her husband? Very simple. Because of other forms of closeness. Maybe she wants to hug him. Or maybe he wants to hug her. Maybe they want to kiss each other, which is not a problem. And anything in that realm. Which are permissible at the time when the husband has to separate from his wife during the period when a woman is anticipating to get her period. And we don't have to be concerned, maybe he's going to come on her. We don't have to be concerned, one second, by me allowing the woman to go to the mikvah at her Veset Kavua period, right? That since they came out at the same time, oh, you know what's going to end up happening? If he's going to hug and kiss, and the fact that she already went to the mikvah, that's going to lead that they're going to have relations. No, I'm not afraid of that. That we're not afraid of. Rabotai, why? The Gemara says, because the bread is in the basket. The husband knows he's going to be with her, Rabotai, in a day or two, or in 3 days, whenever, depending if she's going to get her vested or not. He knows eventually he's going to be with her, or maybe from 2 weeks from now, he'll be with her. So therefore he doesn't have that burning urge to go ahead and sin with her. So that's what he tells you over here. You don't have to be concerned, maybe he's going to go ahead and he's going to come on her. He's not going to have relations with her. So let's see that one more time. Even though we said on top that a woman's mikvah night that falls out with her Veset Kavua, the anticipated time where she's anticipating to get the blood, we said she's not allowed to have relations with him. However, Rav David Yosef did say, nevertheless, she's permissible to dip into the mikvah with a blessing at the period close to the anticipated period, mishum shar kerevot, because of other forms of closeness, like hugging and kissing, and anything similar to this. Hamutarim, which are permissible, bezman prisha samuch levesta, at the time when the husband has to separate from his wife, close to the anticipated period of when she's anticipating to get the blood. And you do not have to be concerned, maybe the husband is going to come on her. No, we're not concerned. Rabotai, nevertheless, Rav David Yosef Shlita puts over here in parentheses, and he says like this, Ulam, however, he says, if the person knows for himself, She'al yidei chibuk v'nishuk, through hugging and kissing. Yesh chashash, there is a concern. Sheyavo l'idei hotza'at zera levatala, that they're going to come to spilling semen in vain. Yesh lo lahachmir av b'chibuk v'nishuk. He should be stringent even when it comes to hugging and kissing. Now, Rabotai, this is already, every single person has to judge for himself. Now, you have to understand, if a guy is going to go ahead and he's going to hug and kiss his wife, or if he's going to be affectionate with her in any other form or way, and that's going to arouse him to chas v'shalom want to go ahead and spill semen in vain, then we're going to tell you he should be stringent even with the hugging and kissing, not to go ahead and touch her, because that's going to arouse him. And now, Rabotai, if chas v'shalom right now, he's aroused, and if she's going to get her period, what now? What is he going to do? If he's going to go ahead and spill semen in vain, it is better that he shouldn't kiss her and he shouldn't hug her. And so too, he should be stringent not to sleep with her on one bed with the closeness of the flesh. Okay, Rabotai, so bottom line over here, we see Rav David Yosef Shlutai is telling us that if a woman's Tevilah night, the night when she has to go to the mikvah, fell out with her Veset kavua, Halach is going to say she's not allowed to have relations with her husband. Nevertheless, according to the letter of the law, she could go to the mikvah, say the blessing. Why? Because we're going to allow them to hug and kiss, which is permissible because she's still not a nidah. However, we did say in parentheses, Rav David Yosef Shluta did say, if the person knows himself that by kissing and hugging is going to lead him to chas v'shalom, do the sin of zera levatala, we're going to tell him he should be stringent even by hugging and kissing. And then another halacha Rav David Yosef Shluta brought down, he says, even though your wife went to the mikvah, she's permissible to you, but since it's the same time when she's anticipating to get her period, he said you should be stringent not to sleep with her on one bed with the closeness of the flesh. Because again, Rabotai, we don't want to have any problems, chas v'shalom, if she's going to end up being a nidah, you're not going to know. So it comes out that you're touching a woman while she's a nidah. Okay, all this was in regards to a woman who has a established cycle, a veset kavua. Ve'im in la veset kavua, and if she does not have an established cycle, mutar la lidbol u'lishamesh im ba'ala. Rabotai, listen to what Rav David Yosef Shlita says. Mutar la lidbol, she's allowed to go to the mikvah, u'lishamesh im ba'ala, if she's allowed to have relations with her husband, av im chal lel tvilata be'ona smucha levesta, even if her lel tvila, even if the night when she has to go to the mikvah fell out, at the period close to the time when she's anticipating to get a period, b'chol tarichei prisha, and all the other dates where the husband has to separate from his wife. If you guys remember, we had the Yom HaChodesh on the Benonit and the Veset HaFlaga. In other times where she's not still established, we're going to tell you, if let's say for example, if the owner Benonit came, the average owner, or the Veset HaChodesh, or the Veset HaFlaga, but they're still not established, now she has to go to the mikvah, and on that mikvah night, it's on a Benonit also. Is the average ona. Comes Rav David Yosef Shlita, he says, Mutar la lidbolu l'shemesh ba'ala. She's permissible to go to the mikvah. She's going to the mikvah like usual. She has to do all the check-ins, right, with the blessing, and she's allowed to have relations with her husband. Rabotai, this is a fascinating chiddush, because in the previous halacha, when she has a vesed kavua, an established cycle, over there we're not going to allow, because there's a higher chance she's going to see, because she already has a chazaka. We have a presumption that she's going to see blood. But here it's a vesed that's not established. Who says it's going to come? Maybe it's not going to come. So here we're going to be more lenient, and that's what he tells you. If this woman does not have an established cycle, mutar la l'tbolu shemesh ba'ala, it's permissible for her to dip and have a relation with her husband. Even if the night of the dipping into the mikvah falls out, at the period close to the other periods when she's anticipating to get a period, B'chol tarichei prishin, all the other dates where the husband has to separate from her, which is like we explained, the onat benoni, the Veset chodesh, and the Veset ha'aflaga. Now we are moving to another case. Isha sheyesh la Veset kavua. We're dealing with a woman who has an established cycle. Milel chamisha asar liriata lelel chamisha asar liriata. This woman sees every 15 days. What does that mean, Rabotai? What does it mean? Milel chamisha asar liriata. A woman has an established cycle that she's going to see on the 15th of the night from the last time that she saw. To the 15th of the night from the last time that she saw, meaning to say that this woman sees 2 times a month. Now, Rabotai, mind you, that if a woman sees on the 1st of the month, now we're going to see over here, Rav David Yosef Shulchan is going to tell us that we're dealing with a woman. He's going to say that her bleeding continues for 7 straight days, which is a problem. Watch this. And her bleeding, her seeing, her spotting continues always 7 days. Now, Rabotai, I want to let me give you the case outside so you guys can understand what's going on. Can you imagine if a woman sees on the 1st of the month, and she's that type of woman that her period, she's continuously seeing blood for 7 straight days. After she does Hefsek Tahara, what comes after that? Another 7 clean days. That means this woman's waiting complete 14 days before she's going to the mikvah. She cannot go to the mikvah during the day, so she has to go to the mikvah on the 15th of the night. She has to go to the mikvah on the 15th of the night. 1 second. But again, her Veset Kavua, her established cycle is on the 15th of the night. So it comes out of Rabotai that this woman, that her period of the Veset Kavua is falling out exactly on the same day that she has to go to the mikvah. So Rabotai, this is a different case than what we spoke about above. So let's see this one more time. If you have a woman who has an established cycle that she sees every 15 days, she saw on the 1st of the month, and then 15 days later she saw again, and again 15 days later she's going to see again. And her spotting and her seeing the blood continues constantly every single time 7 days. Now watch this, Rabotai. And if we're going to require her to separate from her husband on the Leil Tevilah, on the night when she has to go to the mikvah, when is she going to become permissible to her husband? Rabotai, if this woman is always seeing every 15 days, so, on the 15th of the night, she has to go to the mikvah. And the 15th of the night, she's anticipating to get a period. So when is she going to be permissible to her husband? Never. That's a very big problem. So therefore he says, if we're going to require her to separate from her husband and the time when she's going to go to the mikvah, because that's also the time when she's anticipated to get a period because of the Veset Kavua, she'll become forbidden on her husband forever. Forever, about time when she's going to become permissible. Can you imagine if a woman sees on the 1st of the month, mind you, this woman sees every 15 days. So when she's going to become permissible to her husband? Watch. On the 1st of the month, she sees the blood, correct? Now on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, she's still seeing blood in all those 7 days. After she's going to do it, let's say it stops on the 7th day. She doesn't have Tahara. What does she have to count now? She has to count 7 clean days. So now how many days has passed? 14 days. She cannot go to the mikveh during the day. She has to go to the mikveh at night. She's going to go to the mikveh at night. What night is that? That's the 15th of the night. If that's the 15th of the night, what day is that? That's her Veset Kavua. Over there, she's anticipating the period to also come. So now you have the Leil Tevilah and you have the Veset Kavua fall out at the same time. Rabotai, in this case, if we're not going to allow the wife and the husband to sleep with each other, they never will become permissible. Why? Because watch this. What happens if the period came on the 15th? Again, she has to count 7 days because she's a woman that sees continuously 7 days her period, and then 7 clean days. Again, what's going to end up happening? 14 days have passed, and the 15th she has to go to the mikvah. But again, that time she's what? Anticipating her period to come. So when is she going to become permissible? Never, Rabotai. And that's what he's trying to tell you over here. If we're going to require her to separate from her husband at the time when she's going to the mikveh at night, she'll become forbidden on her husband forever. There's no way they're going to be able to have relations. So what does Rav David Yosef Shlita say? This is different than the case above. He says, "Be'ovin kazeh," in this situation, lo asru chacham. In this situation, the chacham never said it's asur for the husband to sleep with the wife. Umuteret litbol u'lishamesh im ba'ala. Here we go, Rabotai. Very important. Again, this is a very exceptional case. But Rabotai, if it ever does happen, you know that she's permissible to go to the mikveh with a blessing, and then she's allowed to have relations with the husband. If we're not going to allow it, Rabotai, they're never going to be able to have relations. In this situation, the rabbis remove their decree, and they're going to tell you, you're allowed to go ahead and have relations with your husband after, of course, you went to the mikveh. Nevertheless, in the parentheses, Rav David Yosef Shlita says, V'tov shitikach kodum lachen, and it's good that she should take before then, kadurim uterifot, some pills, haduchim et veset, that are going to be able to push away her cycle. Right? You have these birth control pills or these things that you take, they're able to push away the woman's blood from coming. Again, it's good, but according to the letter of the law, over here we're dealing with a woman who has a Veset kavua, and the Leil Tevilah is coming at the same time. Since in this situation where she's, it's every 15 days she's going to see the blood. In this situation, this scenario, there's no other way to go around it. So then we're going to tell you, if a woman who's this type of woman where she has a Veset kavua, that she sees every time, every 15 days, we're going to tell you in this situation, even though the Veset kavua is going to come at the same time when the Leil Tevilah is going to come, when the time she has to dip into the mikvah at night is going to come, not a big deal. They are allowed to go ahead and have relations. But again, he recommended and he said it's good that she should take some kind of pill which are going to be able to push away her period. Now, Rabotai, this next piece is very important. Everything that we just said on top, in the last case, we're speaking about a scenario in a case where she was seeing blood 7 consecutive days. She was seeing blood 7 consecutive days. And she was not able to do the Hefsek Tahara prior to then. Every single day she was bleeding. Aval, however, however, what happens if the bleeding, it continued less than 7 days? Say it continued 6 days. It continued 5 days. And she's able to go ahead and do the Hefsek Tahara a day or 2 days earlier than the 7 day, from before the 7 days coming. She needs to do so. She needs to do so, Rabotai. Immediately from once she stops from seeing, as long as 4 days passed from the last time that she saw her period, let her go ahead and let her do the Hefsek Tahara. Let her count 7 clean days and let her go to the mikvah. Now, Rabotai, before we do continue, I want to explain to you what just happened over here. Comes Rav David Yosef and he says like this. This whole halakha that we told you over here on top, that if a woman has a Veset kavua, and if her Leil Tevilah, they also come at the same time, we allow you to have relations with the husband. You know when that is? That's specifically in this situation where she's seeing blood 7 consecutive days. Every single day she's seeing blood. There's not a day where she's able to do the Hefsek Tahara. Over there we're going to tell you, even though the Veset kavua came, but since she's still not bleeding, we don't know if the blood's going to come. Maybe it might not come. Maybe it's going to come 3 hours later. Doesn't matter. Since it's the Leil Tevilah and it's Veset kavua, we're going to say you're allowed to have relations. But only in this case, Rabotai, only in this situation. In this situation, because there's no other way she can go ahead and become clean. And if we're not going to allow her, she's not going to be able to have relations with her husband. However, Rav David Yosef Shlita said, but what happens if you have a woman that she's able to do Hefsek Tahara on the 5th day, on the 6th day? She's able to. Before the 7th day comes, she's obligated to do Hefsek Tahara. She shouldn't wait till the 7th day. If she stopped seeing blood on the 5th day or even on the 4th day, she should do the Hefsek Tahara and then count 7 clean days. Rabotai, watch this. All this that we said on top, where we allow the woman to have relations with the husband and her Veset Kavua, that's only where she's seeing the blood continue for 7 consecutive days. She's not able to do the Hefsek Tahara prior to then. However, what happens if the bleeding continues less than 7 days? She's able to do the Hefsek Tahara a day or 2 days prior to the 7th day. She needs to do so. And immediately, immediately once she stops seeing, as long as 4 days have passed from the time that she saw her blood, let her go ahead and let her start doing the Hefsek Tahara. Let her count 7 clean days. She's going to go ahead, she's going to dip with the blessing, and then she's allowed to have a relation with her wife. Now, Rabotai, when is this going to fall out? It's not going to fall out on the Veset Kavua. It's going to fall out a day or 2 days earlier, which is even better for us. That's what we want her to do. If that's the type of lady. If she's a woman that has 7 consecutive days, she's bleeding, okay, there's no other option. Go to the mikvah, even though the day of the mikvah and it's a Veset Kavua, they're the same day, no problem. We're going to tell you allowed to have relations because the blood still did not come. If we're not going to allow you, when else are you going to be able to be with your husband? However, Rabotai, if she's able to do Hefsek Tahara on the 4th day, on the 5th day, on the 6th day, she should do so. Because now you don't have to go to the problem of sleeping with your husband during the Veset Kavua. He continues and he says, even if all the girls of that family have the custom to be stringent and to wait 7 days, before they do the Hefsek Tahara, even though their bleeding stopped on the 4th day, let's say, but they still have a minhag to be stringent and wait 7 days before they do the Hefsek Tahara and then count 7 clean days, right? That's what he's telling us over here. Even if all the girls, all the daughters of that family, they have the custom of being stringent, to wait 7 days, call them Hefsek Betahara before the Hefsek Tahara, and afterwards you're going to wait 7 clean days. Do not behave like them. Do not do like them. Why? Because this is a stringency that's going to bring you to a leniency, meaning to say, because now you're going to have to have a relation with your husband at the time when you are anticipating the period to come. That we don't want, Rabotai. You want to try to go ahead and be stringent by keeping 7 days before Hefsek Tahara and the 7 clean days. You want to be stringent, correct? But what's going to end up happening? Now, you're being stringent there, but it's going to bring you to a leniency where you're going to go ahead and you can have a relation with your husband at the Veset Kavua. That we don't want you to have. That we don't want you to do, Rabotai. That's a very big problem. Therefore, he says, therefore, he says she should go ahead and she should try to shorten the days of her impure days as much as possible. And it is correct that she should go ahead and she should undo this minhag that she waited 7 days before she would count the Hefsek Tahara. Be'ofen shetomar, in a way where she's going to say she mitcharetet, that she regrets the fact that she did not say Bilinadar on the custom. So we see over here, Rav David Yosef Shlita is saying like this, that if a woman had a minhag, had a custom of waiting 7 impure days, and then she would go ahead and do the Hefsek Tahara, and then she would wait Shiva Nikim, comes Rav David Yosef Shlita says, Nachon, it is correct that she should do a hatara, she should undo this custom of waiting 7 dirty days before the Hefsek Tahara. How? In a way where she's going to say that she regrets by not saying Bilinadar. That's it, Rabota. In this way, we're going to go ahead and we're going to save ourselves the headache that the mikvah night and the Veset Kavua night, they're not going to come out at the same time. Okay, now Rabotai, we're going to do a summary. Night of immersion that falls near the expected period, which is the Veset. So we spoke about the first case, fixed Veset, which is the regular cycle. If a woman has a fixed Veset and the night of immersion falls during the time close to her expected period, immersion is permitted with a blessing. Marital relations are forbidden because it is the time of a Veset. Non-sexual closeness, hugging, kissing, etc. is generally permitted as doing normal separation near a Veset. However, if the husband knows this closeness may lead to sexual arousal or wasted seed, he must be stringent and avoid it. Sleeping in the same bed with bodily contact should also be avoided. The case number 2, what happens if a woman does not have an established cycle? No fixed Veset, irregular cycle. If a woman does not have a fixed Veset, she may immerse and have marital relations even if the immersion night falls near the expected time of bleeding. This applies even with extended separation times like we spoke about the Veset Chodesh, on a Benonit, or Veset Haflaga. The one exceptional case that we gave with the Veset Kavua, if a woman has a fixed Veset such that her bleeding always lasts 7 days, and forcing separation on immersion night would cause her to be forever forbidden to her husband, the sages did not prohibit relations in this case. She may immerse and have relations. It is recommended, where appropriate, to use medical means to delay menstruation. When shortening bleeding is possible, this leniency only applies when bleeding truly lasts 7 full days and cannot be stopped earlier. If bleeding lasts less than 7 days and she can achieve ritual purity earlier, she must do so. She should perform a Hefzik Tahara as soon as bleeding stops, after 4 minimum days. Count 7 clean days and then immerse. What about the family stringencies? Even if a woman and her family customarily wait 7 full days before Hefzik Tahara, she should not follow this custom here. This is a stringency that leads to a halachic problem. She should shorten impurity days as much as possible. It is proper to perform Halachot Niddah, which is the annulment, if she previously followed that custom without saying Bli Neder.